So it's an honor to be here. It's my second time speaking at Podium. Slovenia is one of my favorite countries, and Ljubljana is pretty much my favorite city on the planet. So I actually asked if I could come back because it had been a while since I'd been here. So thank you very much for welcoming me again. I'm going to be talking about behavioral engineering. Does anybody have any idea what that is? Yes? No? No? I'm seeing no's. Okay, so you're about to find out. Behavior. You know behavior is. Yes, you know the type of reaction you want from your customer. So here's some ways in order to help you figure out easier ways to get it. All right. So who am I? Well, we already went through that, so I don't need to go there. And who are we? Who is Hunter & Bard? Hunter & Bard is a PR agency, PR and design. And we're based in the Bay Area, and we've won a couple of awards. We work with fast-growing startups and enterprises. So that's my own background. We've worked with quite a few different companies, and it goes all the way from massive enterprises who are looking to be more agile to very fast-growing, highly technical startups. Now, what are you looking for as a startup or any company? Okay, you're looking for an unfair advantage that can't be easily copied or bought. Now, that's a brand. So think about this. How do you get there? Well, there's chemicals in our bodies, and these chemicals end up changing how we think about things and the way we react and what we do. And we're going to talk about that and why it works. Then we're going to talk about two different types of funnels. We're going to talk about R and the bow tie. I'm going to do mental models. We're going to talk about Nir Eyal and about BJ Fogg. We're going to talk about action triggers. And now we're going to start with what is strategy. Strategy, in short, is what you say no to. It's the simplest way to think about it. You have limited budget, limited time, limited resources, limited people. So you cannot say yes to everything. You have to focus, and that focus is strategy. Now, let's get into the chemicals. Endorphins. When you run, when you exercise, when you do anything physical and you feel really good afterwards, your body is flooded with endorphins. Now, how does this end up helping you in a digital marketing space? Well, you also get endorphins through laughter. So if you're doing a marketing campaign and you can make people laugh, they're going to associate that feeling and the endorphins from the laughter to your product and to your company. So you want to think about what type of feeling do I want to induce in my customer? And endorphins will help bring a positive feeling to your brand. Serotonin is similar to that. Serotonin is when you make someone feel good, warm, fuzzy. You've done something for them that they didn't expect, and it was a pleasant, unexpected surprise. That will induce serotonin. Now, that goes with leadership and pride and status, and you get to see it in a brand. I can't open that, so I'll just wait. The next one, thank you. You can't always make someone laugh. Laughter is hard, comedy is hard, but it's easy to make someone feel special. So what are you doing to make sure that your customers and your prospects feel special and different than other companies do? Oxytocin is known as the mommy chemical. Now, this is triggered when you're sharing with good friends on social media. So that's how you induce that in the digital space. But you actually have to be close to the people that you're with. So that would be your influencer outreach, okay, when you're getting to know the influencers in the market and the people who respect that influencer and then the people that they end up interacting with. So that's by building up others, they'll build you up. That goes with oxytocin. And then the last is dopamine. How many people here sleep, have their phones next to them, and they look at it first thing in the morning? Anybody else? Y'all are addicted to dopamine. Dopamine is a variable reward. So that like you got on Instagram, or the comment you got on Facebook, or that email you didn't expect, gives you a little rush of dopamine. And it's a great feeling. So you just keep opening your phone over and over and over again. Neuroepinephrine is the chemical of alertness. If you're in sales and you're doing a fear of missing out, you follow up with that fear of missing out with something that makes them feel good, make them laugh with some endorphins, or make them feel special with serotonin, then you're not just going to get their attention, you're going to hold their attention, and you're more likely to close a deal. So how can you set up this situation where you make them a little nervous and very aware, and then make them feel really good? Cortisol is the stress hormone. You literally cannot think clearly when your body is flooded with cortisol. It will change your decision-making for the worse. So you have to be very careful about this. Now, this ends up coming if you're having a fight at home with your loved ones, or there's layoffs at work, and then it changes everyone's behavior. It also cuts off your ability to get dopamine. The only thing that cuts off cortisol is endorphins. So, and actually, endorphins and serotonin, sorry, the two things that cut off cortisol. So that would be, if you're gonna cut off cortisol, one way to do it is to go exercise. And then another thing to do would be to have, say, the entire office go do something that makes them feel good, like painting, school, or some type of charity work. And that'll bond the team together. Now, the two different, all right, I don't have a lot of time. I'm gonna go a lot faster. The two different funnels: awareness, activation, awareness, acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, and referral. This is your basic funnel for B2C and low-cost B2B. If you're like $10 a month or something like that, this is your basic funnel, okay? And it's very self-explanatory. If you are a enterprise solution and your average sale will be larger than 100,000, you have a bow tie funnel. What does that mean? That means you're going to be doing a lot of post-sale marketing. It's a completely different way of marketing. Your prospect has already made 60% of the decision before they even contact you. So it's going to be, you're starting with a lower price point. So say your initial sale is going to end up being around 15,000, and then you have to expand it to whatever your goal is, be it over 100,000 or $1 million or whatever. So that's a land and expand model. So everything that you're looking at and everything that you're thinking about in terms of marketing is, okay, I'm here, I want to get to there. Why do we keep stopping here with the prospect? What are we doing wrong? And then you have to start analyzing. And you analyze with there's multiple mental models in order to change how you're thinking about things. But what you're looking for is the first choice brand effect. When you see something that you always buy. Example of this, my youngest son had a phase where he ate everything with Heinz ketchup. Everything. So, okay, I'd have to go to the grocery store and I'd buy Heinz ketchup, Heinz organic ketchup, to make myself feel better for the fact that he was eating ketchup like it's a vegetable. And then I would go and just pick it. But if we were in Europe or in an area where they didn't have Heinz organic ketchup or they didn't have Heinz, suddenly my brain had to do a lot of processing. I really had to think, because what was I going to do? They didn't have this. So what you're looking for is to build up such a brand, like Salesforce. When you need a sales solution, 90% of the companies out there will just instantly go to Salesforce. They won't even look at other solutions, because they know in the end, when they grow to be really large, they're going to be using Salesforce, that they just go straight to it. Now, simplicity changes behavior. These are the mental models that'll get you to the first choice brand effect. B equals MAT. Behavior equals motivation, ability, and trigger. What does that mean? Okay, how many of you are on LinkedIn? Whole room. And on LinkedIn, do you ever look at who viewed by profile? Yeah, okay. So you get these emails, and they say, these people looked at your profile. Well, then you go to LinkedIn. It's never on the homepage. Why isn't it on the homepage? Well, because it's vanity. Your motivation is high. So they can make the ability harder, okay? So you have to click in. And once you click in, you are somebody who clicks deeper into LinkedIn, and you are more likely to click into other pages. It primes you in order to do an action that they're looking for. Behavior equals motivation, ability, and trigger. If the motivation is low, you have to make that ability simple. The trigger is usually an email. That's not what I wanted to go. There. Hook. Nir Eyal's model. Now this is more of a B2C, and this has to do with, I'm going to tell you about my addiction to Pinterest. So it starts off, does that work? I'm not going to check it. So it starts off with an external trigger. I got an email. I had a blog about interior design for years, and I got an email from Pinterest when they really first started out and said, hey, come check out our service. So I went and looked at it, and I didn't really like it. It was okay, but it wasn't what it is now. And I started using it, but I forgot about it. And then a couple months later, I got another email. We made some updates. Come check out our service. So I went back in, and I checked it out. It's like, all right, this is better. Then they emailed a few months later. This time, I actually started to pin. So I went from the trigger to action, and then I got to the variable reward. I didn't like every picture I saw, but I did like some of them. And that variable reward turned into an investment. I started to pin and build boards. Now, for the next few months, I would go in when they sent an email. I would go, and there'd be the action. I'd go into the site. Then the variable reward, I'd see some pictures I liked, but I didn't like everything I saw. And then the investment would be my time. And then one morning, I wake up on a Saturday and I think to myself, oh, what's on Pinterest? And I open up my iPad, and that trigger went from an external to an internal trigger. And I was hooked. That was the second I was hooked. And that's what you're looking for if you have a B2C product. How are you going to hook? And that's the wrong one again. Now, how to ask. These are all the different heuristics, or not all of them. There's actually hundreds. But these are some of the different heuristics, most of the main ones. So, anchoring. Can anybody really quickly tell me what's wrong with this picture? Nobody? Not even a guess? It should be reversed. You should anchor high. And if you have 250 first and the 25 last, that 25 is going to look dirt cheap, and it'll be more people will end up buying all of them, not just the lowest one. You have to anchor high. Here, you're making the 250 look too expensive. Make the 250 your baseline. A foot in the door. So this is from the time of the last campaign. We all know the results. We're not going to go there. But while this was all going on, in the US, you would see these huge stands on people's lawns with their political affiliation. How does that get there? Well, somebody comes to your house and they say, oh, do you like such and such a candidate? And if you say yes, they go, oh, would you put this little sign in your window? And then you're like, I just said yes, I like this candidate. So yeah, okay, it's just a little sign in my window, right? So then you put the little sign in your window. And then about a month later, they come back and they say, wait, we saw that you put the little sign in your window. That's awesome. Would you be so kind as to put this little sign on your lawn and help support? Well, you said yes, you like the candidate, and you said yes to the little sign in your window, so you're more likely to say yes to that little sign on your lawn. Then they come back and they went, that little sign on your lawn is awesome. Can we put a slightly larger sign on your lawn? And you're like, well, I said yes that I like the candidate, yes to the sign in the window, yes to the little sign. Yeah, okay, you could put a slightly larger sign on my lawn until they get you this monster sign, and then suddenly you have a monster sign on your lawn. And that's how they get you there. It's incremental. They don't just come to your house and say, hey, can we put this monster sign on your lawn? No. They know they're not going to get a yes to that. So they come in, and it's incremental, the ask. So you start asking for very, very tiny things until you build it up to what you're really looking for. The opposite of that would be a big ask, small ask. What is that? Well, you ask for something big, really big, something that you know they're going to say no to. And here's the thing, people don't like saying no. It's uncomfortable and it makes them feel bad. They prefer to say yes. Yes feels good. You get a dopamine rush from yes. So they're less likely to say no. Again, if you start with a big ask and they say no, and then you come back with a much more reasonable ask. So you really want this thing, but you know you're not going to get it if you just go straight to them. So then you go and you ask for this monster thing. Kids are really good about this, okay? They come and ask you for something huge, and then they ask you for a cookie. Yeah, I'm seeing nodding heads. All right? Kids are just amazing at manipulation, and this is essentially what that is. And it's a way to get what you're looking for. So big ask, small ask. Reciprocity. Back in the day, I was the head of marketing for a company that had a commercial YouTube channel. And the person who was there previously had a background in SEO and SEM, which is search engine optimization and search engine marketing. High performance, not community. So I came in and completely changed our model of engagement. And instead of saying no to everyone who wrote in and asked for things, we didn't just say yes, we reached out. We love your work. We featured you on our commercial YouTube channel. Here's all the things that we could do for you. Just let us know. And we got in conversations with them. And we built them up. And then they started to build us up and talk about how we're doing this for them. And it started a community. That's actually a community. So when you start to promote others, they will promote you. A great way to do this is through content on your blog and on social media and also through PR. PR your customers. They love it, and it works really well. Priming. Do any of you know what that icon is? Unless you've seen me speak before, that should be a no, because it opens up to the office dogs. But the second you click on this, you are somebody who clicks on the social icons for this site, and it raised their follows on social by 20%. People who came onto their site and clicked on this were much more likely to click on the other social icons and follow them. Mere exposure. Anybody here listen to the radio? And the ads on the radio? Over and over and over and over again, the exact same thing. If you're American and you listen to NPR, you know every ad for Casper. It's a mattress company. So it's that, where you end up singing the song for the insurance and the phone number for it just because you've heard it so many times. It breeds familiarity. That's how PR works. People don't buy the first time they hear about you. They have to build a minimum trust level, and they only get that minimum trust level from hearing about you in a bunch of different ways. And this helps with that. Earworms work. Social identity theory, us versus them. I'm an Apple fangirl, and I have a friend who's like, I can't do Apple, I'm open source, I have to do Android. So this is a whole thing, and it's a real thing, and it's a weird thing, but it exists, and Apple is the king at it. Us versus them. Confirmation bias. Anybody here ever share a post or an article on Facebook? Couple people. Have you ever shared an article on Facebook you didn't actually read, but you really liked the subject? Okay, so I do that all the time. Confirmation bias. Oh, of course messy people are smarter. Analysis paralysis. Don't make me think. If you give people too many options, let's say you've got 12 different links on your homepage above the fold. Where the hell do you want them to go? Stop that. Make it 3 at the header, put everything else on the bottom, and give them 1 CTA. One CTA, not 2, 1. Focus. Where do you want them to go? Don't make people think, or else your bounce rate will go and skyrocket. Framing. How you say things matters. So there's a huge difference between saying a 10% failure rate versus a 90% success rate. Which one makes you feel good? Well, the 90% success rate. On the other hand, if you're trying to instill fear, you focus on the 10% failure rate. Loss aversion. In Italy, the points for driving go down instead of up because they found when they went up, the Italians felt like they were achieving something and were more likely to do violations. I love that one. Easter egg. So how many of you know what the Nimbus 2000 is? Anybody recognize that? Anybody see Harry Potter? So here's the thing, Mixpanel. If you are into analytics, very likely you're kind of geeky like me, and you've seen or read the Harry Potter books, so you go. And if you haven't read Harry Potter, you'll still be able to do when they're teaching you how to use the product, okay? Your tutorial, hello. You'll still be able to do the tutorial. I'm so jet lagged. So you'll still be able to do the tutorial. But if you don't know what Nimbus 2000 is, you don't get the dopamine rush. When you see that and you know Nimbus 2000, you get a dopamine rush. You are included. You get it when others won't. In the very beginning, when HubSpot offered Signals, which is this thing that tracked where your email went and who opened it and who didn't, they started charging by saying, power user status achieved, pay us. I personally am achievement-oriented, so I really love that. And time is so far up. Do I have enough to tell the story? I don't have enough? I don't? Really? It's a good one. Come on. Really, really quick. All right, I'll tell the story. All right, so these are the action triggers: reward, status, achievement, self-expression, competition, and altruism. All of us have a primary, and most of us have a secondary. So I'm going to tell the story of two nations, and I'm going to have to do this really fast. So the two nations are Israel and Germany. I happen to really love Germany, and I lived in Israel for 17 years. So I'm not doing this on a standpoint of putting anybody down. These are two nations I really enjoy, but they have very different mindsets. Okay, so Germany is very status-oriented. You've got your cars and your watches and your status. Now, Israel is very achievement-oriented. How does this end up playing out? You know, Israelis have a really high education rate, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to go into that. So, in the startup scene, if you have failed and closed your company in Germany, you'll never raise money again. And you will, go work for somebody else. But that's done. In Israel, if you've closed your startup and failed, they're like, well, okay, what did you achieve? Did you launch? Okay, did you raise money? Did you actually get some customers? What did you do? And did you figure out what went wrong? And then how are you going to go do it again? Because it's constantly achieving. It's what are you going after? What's the next thing? On the other hand, because there's always two sides to every coin, in Germany, if you've exited and you've got enough money to never work again, you could say, I'm not going to work again. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. And then in Israel, if you say, I have made a lot of money and I don't ever have to work again, they're like, what's wrong with you? What do you mean? You're not going to work again? How could you not work again? Of course you're going to do something. You're going to start another startup because that's what you do. You have to constantly be achieving. It's a completely different mindset. Now, why does this matter? It matters because you have to know how to appeal to the people you're advertising to. And we are not all the same.